Alright, I am back with probably the most important Destiny video in the history of time. Bungie has announced that blues will stop dropping once you hit the soft cap. They will dismantle into Glimmer. I'll just read the text here from the middle of the TWAB. I will do the rest of the TWAB at the end of this, but obviously this is a national holiday for me here, so bye-bye blues at soft cap. It's happening. Starting with next week's patch, after you reach the soft gear cap, blue engrams will stop dropping in the world whenever that would have happened, and the equivalent amount of additional glimmer baubles will spray out instead, so that should be 100 glimmer. We're also adjusting all other gunsmith reputation gains by 25% to compensate for removing gunsmith rep from dismantling blue gear. We may not have caught every single blue engram in the game, but a vast majority should behave this way. If you find a source that still gives a blue item, please report it to our help forum so we can squash. Oh, don't worry, I will. So first of all, Bungie was kind enough to reach out to me to tell me about this ahead of time. I appreciate them doing this. They know it's kind of this running crusade I've had for literally years, pretty much since Destiny 2 arrived here. I've written, I don't know, a half dozen articles, at least about blues, done a couple of videos, and they said they wanted to reach out to me and let me tease it ahead of the announcement in the TWAB today. So I brainstormed a couple ideas with them, and the one we agreed on that I came up with was this idea that I would post a blue engram every couple hours starting last night, and then it would slowly just get more and more transparent, and then finally, like, pretty much disappear altogether. Some people figured it out. Some people, I mean, there was no way to confirm it, but a lot of people were like, I hope Bungie told you this, and you're doing this because blues are going away. And other people just thought it was me and my usual wishful thinking trying to manifest it. A couple hours ago, I saw a thread on Reddit someone made, which has been removed by the moderators because I think too many people were harassing me, and also it wasn't directly related to Destiny, where somebody caught on to this, and they thought maybe Bungie had told me so I could tease it. Have a lot of people doubting me here in the comments. Don't listen to anything Tassie has to say. Please know Paul Tassie is nothing but a glorified Redditor. He's not teasing shit, LMAO. You guys are always reading way, way too much into it. Oh, man. All Paul Tassie does is hype up unconfirmed stuff and complain, very blandly at that. Look, I'm not disputing all of that. Some of it is true. And yet, this time, yes, they did give me a heads up. This was not a leak. This was them. You know, this is not one of my inside sources. This was them actually reaching out to me and working with me on this for a small teaser that I very much enjoyed doing. So, in terms of the actual fix here, this is pretty much all that needed to happen. Like, previously, you know, the three main complaints was either okay, so you should either have blues not go to the postmaster at all, blues not prioritize pushing out higher quality gear out of the postmaster, or you should have blues have a toggle for auto dismantling blues, or you should just auto dismantle blues when you hit the soft cap. And by doing the soft cap one, they pretty much solved the postmaster problem. I mean, you know, once you're like hardcore grinding for gear on repeat, you're no longer be going to getting blues going to your postmaster. So if you're, you know, my friends are always complaining about running a raid or running a dungeon and their postmaster's filled up, that just won't happen anymore. And your materials stored there will only be pushed out if you jam a bunch of other stuff in there, like other materials, legendary drops, like, you know, those year one sparrows and ghosts that keep dropping from bright engrams, but no blues. And blues are, you know, easily, of a full vault, if it's just like random crap in there, blues are easily 40, 50, 60% of what's in there at any given time. So by making this auto dismantle at the soft cap, so this is before the pinnacle cap, I believe. So whatever, you know, minus 10 or I don't know what the next one's going to be, but it's pretty easy to hit the soft cap. It's you know, that's something that we'll have in relatively short order. And this kind of solves the Bungie problem of they didn't want to get rid of blues entirely because, you know, really early game players are still going to use blues, at least initially, and then, you know, for something like an expansion, you can use blues to actually level up, and they will actually be a power increase. But at the soft cap, they stop being a power increase, more or less, and at best, they can, like, maybe catch up old gear to be at level to you, but like that's it. And they're mostly just a giant waste of space. This also, negates the need for things like a dismantle all blues button. Like, I still wouldn't say no to that, but this one fix is kind of enough to solve all of the issues. And this is a fix that other games have done, like Marvel's Avengers, like a couple months after launch, implemented something where just a certain quality of gear would not drop once you hit a certain power level. No clue why this took like 4, 5, 6 years to address. Whatever. We finally got here. I officially have nothing else to complain about in Destiny. No, but for real, like, this was obviously my main complaint. Minor as it may be, like, this was my kind of big sticking point, and like, I just don't have anything I am as passionate about or care enough about at this level. Like, this fix will go a long way to shut me up. So thank you everyone for believing in me. Obviously this is this is not just something that I did. Clearly, like, this is a massive problem across the whole game, and many people in the community have complained about it forever. They did the like feedback thing with Cosmo like 2 weeks ago, and every other post was something about like, get blues out of the postmaster, like, stop dropping blues. This is a very common complaint. But thanks again to Bungie for letting me tease this, and I will just go through the rest of the TWAB now because there is substantive information about other stuff too. All right, this week at Bungie, we're talking sandbox news, matchmaking, and we're getting amped for Neptune. Before we jump into this week's TWAB, let's do a brief recap of what went down in last week's blog post. Okay, we don't have to do that because we already did that. We'll just do this week's TWAB. A friendly reminder from our player security team: people whose accounts have been banned who say they don't remember cheating or having any sort of cheat software on their platform of choice. Anytime we investigate these cases, both recent and in the past, we often find that they gave their account to someone else to play the game for them. Because of this, we want to again remind everyone that you must protect your account and do not use account recovery services. Saying that your fingers were not on the keyboard when cheating occurred will not be considered during the thorough appeal process. Okay, so this is not related to the thing where people were saying their accounts got deleted. Bungie also came out and confirmed, according to them, that I believe outside of the first case, the other people did not lose their characters permanently in some way that was Bungie's fault. They did not elaborate on that. So either those characters were not permanently lost, either those people, had their accounts hacked or something, or they were just lying. So don't really know what happened there, but there is no risk of just randomly losing your characters, apparently. Strange saga there. This is the new Neptune trailer we have already talked about, showing off the environments, which is sort of 1980s Space Neptune, complete with arcades. Lightfall's almost here. I still can't believe it. The chance to swoosh around like some sort of undying cyberpunk-inspired Spider-Man will be here before you know it. We're excited to show you more about Cloudstrider, Strand, I thought Cloudstriders was one word, and brand new location to explore. For now, can we just take a second to appreciate those sweet, sweet slow-mo shots, because those are dope. Bob the Guardian Builder and the Evolution of Build Crafting. Okay, so this is the giant build crafting article that they released yesterday. I wrote an article about this. I did not do a video about the build crafting article. I will probably go through that in depth maybe tomorrow, but I did a highlight article this morning about the biggest changes. Needless to say, the blues thing is my big victory, but like the stuff they're doing here, this is a laundry list of exhaustive player requested changes that they're doing. Like, no more match game, no more elemental affinity, way more ways to stun champions. Like, it's a lot, and I really think pretty much everything I'm reading in there is very positive. So I am extremely happy with those changes, and I'll go through them more in depth at a later time here. All right. Rumble returns. Catalysts are a changing, exotic glaive goodness, and more. All right, so this is the stuff I don't actually know about. As we race toward Lightfall's release next month, we've got a few updates that we're excited to share. As a small preview, we're talking about Red Borders, Dredging Gliding, Rumble's Pack, Blues Woes, Year 3 Catalysts, and Glaive Exotic Crafting. Let's dive in. On January 18th, a change went live in-game that makes it easier for players to get the Red Borders they crave in raids with craftable weapons in the Duality Dungeon. Stay tuned for additional information about weapon crafting changes in Lightfall in the coming weeks. Oh, I thought they were going to say something else. Okay. My guess is they up the rate everywhere, or they reduce the patterns, and there's supposed to be something about how you can earn currency outside of just Red Border weapon drops. They said that before. So that is my guess. Yeah, I don't know what the new rates are. I think the official rates were something around like 5%. for red borders from like raids and stuff. But if you're farming that hardcore, let me know what they are doing there. Okay. Faster Dredgen title gilding. Rather than 30 wins, we're changing it to 50 match completions with a bonus credit for wins. At minimum, this reduces the number of wins needed by 5, and most players would require significantly fewer to get where they're trying to be. Title Town. Okay, that's actually really fun. I don't know why Title Town made me laugh. Okay. Upcoming patches. Did the blue thing. Celebrations all around. All right. Rumble y'all. In response to player feedback, we're bringing Rumble back to the Crucible screen as a permanent fixture and removing it as a rotator in the next patch. There are more exciting Crucible changes coming with Lightfall. Stay tuned. Gotta keep those expectations in check, folks, but something is changing. Year 3 Catalyst Evolution. The Catalyst quest for the Year 3 Season Pass exotics, Oriana's Vow, Symmetry, Tommy's Matchbook, and Witherhoard will now benefit from the Season Pass boosts like the other exotic Catalyst quests. Additionally, any seasonal ritual playlist will count toward ritual progress for Season Pass exotic Catalyst quests. Good. These are changes that people were requesting for a while, so that is good. Easier exotic glaive crafting. Did you know there are class-specific craftable exotic glaives? No, it is hard, or it's easy to miss those. We're adjusting the quests needed to receive them to only require one portion of each weapon pattern from the Wellspring weapons, as well. Don't you only need one pattern now? As well as ensuring the first drop of each daily Wellspring weapon will have deep sight. Once you unlock the recipe for the first exotic glaive, I thought it only dropped once anyway. The other class recipes can be purchased. Oh, I see. By your other characters from the evidence board. Okay, so you don't have to do 3 of them, just 1 of them. Gotta buff those glaives. I just never even bothered crafting the Warlock one because it is very bad. All those glaives are terrible. They need to be completely reworked. The raid date is March 10th, 2023, 9 a.m. Pacific. Second Friday in March. So that is 2 weeks after Lightfall, about 1.5 weeks. And you don't need to grind for power because there will be contest. And it's a Friday, it's on a weekend, so it's noon Eastern on Friday. That will upset most people, I'm sure, but okay, matchmaking. Oh, good lord. Okay, fine. Everyone's mad about matchmaking, so I guess we'll go through it. We've experimented a lot with matchmaking tools through the years to help make PvP more enjoyable for all. Earlier last year, we spoke about what the teams had in their sights for future changes. With those goals in mind, we've got the Destiny 2 Rituals team and the Sandbox teams to go over a few things like matchmaking, abilities, and weapon tweaks. First, let's look at matchmaking. Destiny 2 Rituals team. In previous TWABs, we've talked about our goals to make the Crucible an accessible and fair activity for all players, and how we plan to accomplish those goals with matchmaking. In Season 18, we added a loose form of skill-based matchmaking to Control. We gathered data, reviewed analytics, and adjusted the matchmaking configs, establishing the foundation for Season 19's matchmaking for Quick Play, Iron Banner, and Competitive 3v3. In Season 19, we added fire team-based matchmaking, and as before, we will continue reviewing the analytics and player feedback to adjust our configs as necessary. Fire team-based matchmaking is the first step towards enabling a fair playing field for fire teams of all sizes and eliminating the need for freelance nodes. As we grow more confident in our settings, expect to see fewer freelance nodes, beginning with Iron Banner. Ugh, I don't know about this. Okay, we know it may seem a little jarring when written in text like that. Yes, it does. But this is part of our long-term goals. It will improve the experience across the board. After we've gotten sufficient data on this from players from internal systems, we will extend Fireteam matchmaking to trials and eventually competitive 3v3. Once we iron out the kinks associated with Fireteam-based matchmaking, the next feature on deck is dynamic skill matchmaking. As mentioned before, this feature is geared toward improving matchmaking if you are in a low population skill bracket or during a low population time. This is to say, we are aware of the current status of matchmaking, which is bad, and we continue working toward improving our features and systems. We believe we are on the right track, and we'd like to share some of the data that makes us believe as much. One data point is match outcome prediction. We use a particular algorithm that considers multiple variables to predict the outcome of a given match, where 50% prediction accuracy is considered ideal. That would mean both teams are evenly matched, and we are unable to determine the winner based on statistics alone. The graph below, figure A, displays our prediction accuracy for Control before and after Season 18. The drop in accuracy is a strong indicator that our current implementation of skill-based matchmaking is headed in the right direction. Alright, if you say so. Additionally, the following graph displays our prediction accuracy for Glory and competitive 3v3. The upper lines are the main Glory and competitive activities, where the bottom lines are freelance variants. With Season 19, we adjusted the skill bands for matchmaking and competitive, leading to a significant drop in prediction accuracy. Note that there is still a strong discrepancy between the main node and freelance. This shows it's more difficult to produce fair matches with fire teams due to the immeasurable advantages that a fire team possesses: communication, team comp, team synergy. However, that is why we are testing fire team-based matchmaking. We aim to reach a point where matches in the main node, where mixed fire team sizes can queue together, reach levels of fairness comparable to the freelance node, at which point we can confidently show freelance nodes. Good luck. Hopefully this provides some insight into our efforts to make a Crucible fair, accessible, fun experience for all players. This is an ongoing process, so pardon our dust as we build toward a better future. You PvP people can debate that one. I don't even care enough to chime in about SBMM. I know everyone's mad. That's about it. Let's chat airborne effectiveness. The other thing everyone in PvP was complaining about. Airborne effectiveness, weapons, abilities, oh my. For the second TWAB of the year, we're diving back into the world of sandbox goodness with the team to learn about what's next for Destiny 2 regarding combat, movement, and more. Take it away, Destiny Sandbox team. We introduced the airborne effectiveness system in Season 17 to give us levers to balance weapon effectiveness while airborne in a consistent and comprehensive way. We did this in preparation for a sandbox that's introducing more airborne gameplay options, particularly with the Strand subclass in Lightfall. We had two primary reasons for this. Yeah, people thought that the whole AE thing was in preparation for Strand. It's important to balance the increasing number of airborne movement options against their combat effectiveness, as we don't want Destiny 2 to shift excessively toward airborne gunplay over time. In a game where most modes do not have skill-based matchmaking, players using an airborne playstyle could be extremely oppressive. The first reason remains true, but the second has become less relevant as SBMM has rolled out across more PvP modes, and despite achieving our goals, the cost of player fun was too high. It's a statement for the ages. After observing for a season, we made some updates in each subsequent weapon balance update while starting on a larger rework in Lightfall. We've been playtesting these changes for a while and are confident we can safely pull them into Season 19 mid-season balance update. That is the Lightfall season mid-season balance update? Okay. Airborne effectiveness affects the following aspects of weapons. These affect both mouse and keyboard as well as controller unless otherwise noted. Auto-aim, aka bullet bend, corrects bullets toward a target with an auto-aim cone. Precision angle threshold controls how far away you can be from a head and still get a headshot instead of a body shot from auto-aim. Magnetism, aka reticle friction and adhesion, controller only, slows down your reticle when it passes over a target. Accuracy, controls how much bullets spread out with repeated firing. Spread angle, pellet shotguns only, controls the width of shotgun spread pattern. With this update, you can expect a primary weapon with no investment, the default AE stat, to be as accurate as a primary weapon with the Icarus grip mod equipped just before the introduction of AE. The auto-aim angle is also significantly improved, and the magnetism penalty has been eliminated. Okay, so we're just really going back to even kind of better than things were when they did it before all this. Okay, at least for primaries. They really just don't like people hover sniping or jump sniping. That's like the big thing, or I guess hopping around with stompies, shotgunning. Instead of relying on accuracy and aim assist penalties, we're requiring more precision to land crits while airborne. That means your guns will behave more like they do when grounded, except that you must aim right at the head to get a headshot unless you really build for airborne gameplay. Okay. One side effect of this change is that airborne gameplay on controller should feel better than ever before with moderate investments, as we've reduced the airborne magnetism penalty below what it was in the game before AE. We still don't want it to be too easy to build into AE with special weapons, but we believe we have space to reduce the penalties on shotguns and sniper rifles. We may revisit this later. In playtesting, this makes baseline airborne gunplay feel substantially better. Building into higher AE feels more rewarding. Okay. This is the exact numbers. All right. Primary weapons aim assist. Reduce all additional primary weapon auto aim bullet bend penalties by 60% at 0 AE for mouse and keyboard and controller. Increase the precision angle, how far off a head target you can be instead of auto aim give you a headshot by 50% at 100 AE. Change the curve to be exponential so you'll get more benefit at high AE for mouse and keyboard and controller. Removed all additional primary weapon magnetism penalties, and at 60 to 100 AE you get a magnetism bonus compared to pre-AE for controller only. Reduce airborne accuracy penalty for all primary weapons per weapon type, hand cannon, sidearm 60%, auto rifle, scout rifle, pulse rifle, submachine gun 20%, bow 30%. Special weapons, sniper rifles, and slug shotguns reduce base airborne accuracy penalty by 50%. Pellet shotguns fully removed airborne accuracy penalty. PvP people can tell me this is good. Sounds pretty extensive, but weapon types. SMGs have long been heavily dependent on the range stat to be competitive. Is this still AE or is this something else? SMGs with a high range stat. I think this is moving on to something else. Yeah, it is. Okay. Easily outclass all other SMGs and low range auto rifles and hand cannons. We recently made a change that brought these higher range options more in line, but the difference between them and other SMGs is still too large. And some special case offenders that could hit nearly maximum range were still a bit too strong. As such, we made a large improvement to SMG performance at lower range values combined with a small decrease to higher range. General increased damage and aim assist fall-off start at 0 range by 30%. Reduced damage and aim assist fall-off start at 100 range by 6%. Adaptive SMGs lag behind lightweights in effectiveness, dealing more body shot damage but less critical hit damage despite sharing the same rate of fire. To narrow this gap, we have increased their critical hit multiplier, which makes them feel more rewarding in skilled hands, and increased their lethality at certain resilience values. Increased critical hit multiplier from 1.44 to 1.5. Crit damage goes from 16.2 to 16.9. We inadvertently skipped Forensic Nightwear when we adjusted the zoom of other SMGs, so we're correcting that. It's going from 13 to 14. Pulse rifles are very potent in the current meta for a multitude of reasons. Their effectiveness and ease of use at longer ranges makes it hard to close the distance to challenge them with many other weapons. This is especially true on mouse and keyboard, where the normal effective range is significantly increased by the tighter bullet spread of each burst. The current map rotation, which is scheduled to change in Lightfall for both competitive Crucible and quick play, heavily favors the range playstyle, and airborne effectiveness has made airborne play more difficult. With those things in mind, we didn't want to hit pulse rifles too hard without first seeing the effects of other changes in the overall sandbox. We've reduced the top-end range of pulse rifles on all input types and increased their native recoil on mouse and keyboard to bring their ease of use more in line with controller. These changes should combine to make pulse rifles less effective at longer ranges without hurting players who choose to use them more actively. General, reduced aim assist fall-off at 100 range by 10%, reduced damage fall-off start at 100 range by 5%. Increased recoil by 20% on mouse and keyboard only. The Battler is by far the most effective legendary pulse rifle, in part to being extremely strong up close with the legacy frame intrinsic and highly lethal at long range with best in subfamily zoom. We felt the fantasy of the gun fit better with the CQB hipfire aggressive style of gameplay, so we have brought the zoom down to more closely match standard lightweight pulse rifles, which will open some space for other options to work in. Reduce Battler zoom from 20 to 18. The mid-season 18 sidearm aim assist fall-off buff had the desired effect of encouraging players on both input devices to experiment with sidearms. After letting the meta settle, sidearms have cemented themselves as very strong contenders in close quarters engagements, but they are exceeding their intended range by a small amount. We've walked back the buff slightly to pull them in and give other lower range primary weapons a little more room to thrive. Reduce the season 18 aim assist fall-off distance buff from 30 to 20%. Exotics. Dead Messenger can be oppressive to play against, as the triple wave pattern can easily be combined with a number of abilities or other weapons to effectively one-hit kill a player. So we brought the damage down significantly to make such playstyles less effective. This change still has its use cases in PvP, and it hasn't changed at all in PvE, but is a lot less frustrating to play against. Reduce wave splash damage against players by 35%. That's good. Dead Man's Tale's tweak in the 6.3.0 update, switching its aiming from preferring body shots to preferring crits, had a much more dramatic effect than expected. Yeah, I wondered why even I was good with that. The weapon was initially tuned around it preferring body shots. This meant it had a larger aim assist cone to compensate, and once this was addressed, it spiked in effectiveness. At the same time, a damage penalty for hitting maximum stacks of cranial spike never felt good. We've pulled back various hipfire tuning to make hipfiring at long ranges much harder and remove the cranial spike penalty. Yeah, it's like every season this gets a buff and a nerf and everything. Remove the damage penalty of 5 stacks. Reduced hipfire and airborne aim assist cone by 25% on mouse and keyboard. Reduce hipfire cone angle bonus scaling from 20 to 5%. Reduce hipfire precision aim cone angle from 3 to 0.8 degrees. Reduce hipfire auto aim follow scalar from 1.5 to 1.1. In short, it's harder to hipfire the gun and hit people with it. Perks. We're seeing revolver usage increase as more PvP modes have power level removed. The Reversal of Fortune perk is extremely strong, particularly in combination with certain playstyles. Ultimately, we decided to cap the maximum return on this by requiring multiple misses to return one shot. Now triggers on 2 misses within 6 seconds. Yeah, that's a good nerf for Revoker. Probably see less of that now. The future. Coming in Lightfall, we're doing a heavy weapon balance pass, adding subclass 3.0 verbs to several exotic weapons, tuning kinetic weapons, and adding a new perk to make kinetic weapons more valuable. Oh, interesting. In post-Lightfall seasons, we'll be shipping some updates we're pretty chuffed about. More substantial changes to weapon hipfire reticles with the goal of exposing more specific information to weapon types or exotic functionality. a full auto melee setting, another set of craftable reprised raid weapons with a origin trait similar to what we did with DSC. Guessing that's Last Wish, but we'll see. I guess it could be Garden also. Regular seasonal and mid-season balance updates and more. But they wanted to do one change now, Titan's Ramparts. Increase the cooldown of the barricade ability when Titan's Ramparts are equipped by 70%. Whew. Increase the amount of damage players deal to Titan's barricade by 25%. This should increase how often you see Titans in PvP, as well as add more effective abilities for counterplay. Abilities. This is a massive TWAB. I thought it was just going to be a blues thing. Nope. In patch 6.305, scheduled the week of January 24th, which is next week, we're releasing some ability changes that we've been playtesting in Lightfall to address outliers in PvE and PvP. Usually outliers mean things that need to be nerfed. In Crucible, class ability uptime has inflated significantly over the course of the past year, so we're increasing the base cooldown of Barricade, Thruster, and Dodge by 20%. Wait, is that for PvE too? Because that's how I do my Heart of Inmost Light builds. No. Okay. Increase base cooldown of the following class abilities by 20%. Barricade, 40 to 48 seconds. Rally Barricade, 32 to 38. Thruster, 30 to 36. Boo. Oh, they're nerfing Dodge again too. Marksman Dodge increased from 29 to 34. Gamblers from 38 to 46. I don't think that's bad for PvE. Like, you really want your dodge at hand in PvE, and I don't love that. Okay, I get for PvP, but I don't know. I don't like that for PvE. With the update of 6.3.0 and launch of Season 19, we reduced the linger time of Touch of Thunder's enhanced storm grenades, but this hasn't meaningfully moved the needle on either their potency or usage across game modes. We're taking a harder swing here. I told you that would do nothing, but we're reducing the damage dealt by E-Lightning Strike by 25% and making it significantly easier to avoid the roaming storm by decreasing its tracking speed and distance, especially near the start of its lifetime. Yes, but this also affects PvE, so that sucks. Secondary strike damage reduced from 40 to 30. Added a quarter-second delay between the grenade's initial strike on impact and the creation of the roaming storm. The roaming storm travel speed now begins at 1.5 meters a second, ramps up to 1.3 to a maximum of 3. This previously traveled at 3.5 meters a second. The roaming storm target's search range now increases over 2 seconds after creation rather than starting at full size. Ugh, I guess. I don't know. I mean, probably this did need to be nerfed, but I don't know. I don't love it. In August 2021, with update 5.3.0, we added weapon penalties that affected the player while sliding. The goal of this change was to reduce the percentage of engagement where the outcome was effectively decided by sliding, especially when used with shotguns that instantly ended the fight from significant range. Shotguns and other weapons have been tuned since then, and we've implemented skill-based matchmaking into the Crucible, so removing the slide penalties in order to improve the feel and consistency of combat. Remove stability, incoming flinch, and shotgun pellets for penalties while sliding. Alright, well, I know some people will be happy about that. It's important to note these changes are a first step toward where we want to be. With Lightfall and beyond, we have large-scale ability balance tuning in the work, which we will share more in the future. Alright, Evie, I know you want to eat. I'm almost done with this very long video. She's jumping on my desk here, or jumping towards it. Alright, Lunar New Year. Here's the new Lunar New Year stuff. There's Bright Dust to claim. This is an emblem code. The Sparrow is cool, I will say that. Prime gaming loots, new wallpapers. This is awesome. If this wasn't Blues Day, this would have been my thumbnail image. So cool wallpapers. Player support. Stadia is dead. Known issues. There are things to serve shield and scanner augments. Centipede error codes. Mine actually stopped giving me centipede error codes on login now, so that's something. There is a bug in Operation Sancus. Don't go through it too fast. Listen to Rasputin talk. I knew Salted Crepa would win this for his Elden Lord video, which is nuts. You should watch that. I have not seen these other ones. Good art. More good art. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I saw something about this briefly. They're creating Destiny 2 team accounts to help us move away from using community managers' personal accounts as we have in the past. Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't think it's fair to put it on the CMs themselves to like have to use their personal accounts as like player support accounts. Like in some ways I get it, but like in practice, especially when you have a game this big, like you can literally not post anything without people spamming you with Destiny questions. Like, I think this happened to Dylan just an absurd degree because he had, like, I don't know, 300,000 followers or something, like, probably making his social media unusable because it's not like 300,000 like fans of you necessarily. Like, it's game people wanting game information, and every time you don't post game information, yeah, you get yelled at. So you can still follow the community managers, but they will be using this account to do other things like solicit feedback and address issues. So I already followed this. I think it has 10,000 followers already by the time I looked, like just after creation here. So that's interesting. All right, that is the TWAB. Blues are, so it's not even delightful. Blues are dying in the next patch next week. So if you are above the soft cap, which everyone pretty much who's been playing should be by now, no more blue drops. So I have some people to text about this who have not read the TWAB yet, and I've gotten a few texts myself about this. I am don't even want to know what my mentions look like right now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the anti-blues crusade. We will see what our next battle is, but I do not have anything in mind right now. I'm just going to celebrate this change with everyone else. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.